Hello, fellow translators. Today I have an interesting topic. Today I'm going to talk to you about digital nomad visas. Now, what are digital nomad visas? Well, let's start off with what digital nomads are. Digital nomads are basically freelancers. They're freelancers who decide to work in another place. And they came up with this term digital nomad, which sounds fancy, but it basically means that you work digitally, i.e., you work online from your computer or what have you, and you're a nomad. So you don't have, you have set roots somewhere, like wherever you grew up or something like that, and that's fine. But you work remotely from different places, and that's kind of what you're doing in the medium to long term. And yeah, this has existed for a while now. And I've mentioned this before. I was living that way, including with my wife. And we lived in many different places. We lived around, in Shanghai, in Taiwan, in Lucca, in Tuscany. We lived in Lugano, in Switzerland. We lived in Atlanta, in DC, in the United States, and stuff like that. Now we're a bit more settled down since we have a kid and all that. But yeah, we definitely, and excuse me, I was living that style before I got married as well, before the term digital nomad even existed. And so I've been through this in various guises, and I've also seen the changes that have happened, especially since COVID and what's been going on now with the different rules and regulations and how people travel and everything going on there. So I thought it was something worth talking about. I know it's something that interests a whole lot of you, and a lot of you would like to live like this, and a lot of you would also are wondering how to do it exactly and how to go about it, and what are the pitfalls, what are the tips and tricks, what you should look out for and stuff like that. So I wanted to briefly cover it. I do have a course it should be out soon on Thinkific, but where I cover this in more detail, how to live and move abroad. But for now, I just wanted to do a brief video about it and talk about different countries that offer digital nomad visas and try to go through those a bit. So let's do that. So first of all, like I mentioned, things have changed. It used to be, a lot of places used to be a lot more relaxed. Like you could go live somewhere and sort of work there without people really knowing, like you're kind of just fiddling around on your computer, and then leave the country and then come back and kind of do that every 6 months and come back on a 6-month tourist visa and sort of do it that way. And now it's really difficult to do that. And a lot more places have been cracking down, basically due to COVID. But at the same time, a lot more countries are trying to get ahead of the curve. And there have been quite a few countries like Croatia and Estonia who've been offering types of digital nomad visas. And so I kind of wanted to cover that. In Taiwan's another one. And so I kind of wanted to cover that a bit and go through. I'm going to go through each country just briefly and mention it. But before I do that, I wanted to mention a couple of things. First of all, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a government official of any of these countries. So if you want to look into more detail about what to do, there are a couple things I recommend. I'm going to link to an article where it lists the countries that I'm going to talk about here, but that's not enough. What you should do is go to the websites of the country themselves, because those will be more up to date and they will have more information. And so my advice for anyone who's interested in being a digital nomad something is to check the website, the official website of the country itself. They usually have up-to-date information on what type of visas are available and stuff like that. And the second thing that I recommend doing is finding people who are in that situation now. You usually find Facebook groups or stuff like that of people who say you want to come to Taiwan. There are plenty of Facebook groups of expats, of foreigners living in Taiwan. And you can search around and find a good one. I know for Taiwan, the one in Kaohsiung, if you look at the Kaohsiung expats or something like that, it's an extremely good one, and they're extremely responsive. You can ask questions and they have a whole bunch of information and they're really helpful. And pretty much anywhere you go, you're going to find people online discussing this, and you can find people who do this. And if you happen to be in the country you want to get a visa for already, then it's even easier. Try to find expats, try to find foreigners who live there and talk to them about it, because they'll know not only the rules and laws, but kind of the ins and outs and how to, the tricks of the trade and how to go about living there and getting a visa there and the different things you can do. So yeah, those are my recommendations broadly speaking. Now let's briefly go through the different countries that offer this type of visa, so you can kind of get an idea as to what's being offered. One is Anguilla, which is it's a British overseas territory, and another was Antigua and Barbuda and the Bahamas, Barbados, Bermuda, Cabo Verde. So the Cayman Islands, you're starting to get a picture of a bunch of the places that offer these, and they all have different rules. Like some of them you need to pay a lot of money. Like Cayman Islands, you need a minimum salary of $100,000 USD for single people. So, it could be a digital nomad visa, but at that point you're kind of operating at another level. But for other people, look, for Cabo Verde, it says have a minimum bank account balance of 1,500 euros, and you need to submit a bunch of documents and stuff like that. But they make it a lot more simple. So it really depends on the country and what they require. And then you have other ones like Costa Rica. Costa Rica is a beautiful country, by the way. I haven't been there in a while, but they have certain. As of this writing, you have to have a monthly income of 2,500 US dollars. Or make a deposit of $60,000 at a local bank. So they all have some monetary requirement, and it really depends on the level. So you can kind of go through these and see them one by one. Croatia is one that I know has just been recent that they've offered this digital nomad visa. And there's, in fact, a Dutch guy who moved to Croatia, and he's been working a lot with the Croatian government to try to institute this, and was able to. And so now Croatia offers a digital nomad visa. And so it's definitely something you can look up. Curacao is another place. Czech Republic has a freelancer visa, basically the same thing. It's kind of tricky to get it, but they do offer it. Dominica is another place. Estonia, I already mentioned this. They had what was called, let's see, no, they don't say the name, because I remember they had something called an e-visa, which basically allowed you to stay there, and there were certain things. Anyway, it lets you stay in the country and work there remotely for a year, and it could be renewed. Georgia, the Republic of Georgia, has a program as well. Germany now has one. It grants residence permits to freelancers and other self-employed workers, and so that could be definitely interesting. Then Iceland is another one. Malta, Mauritius, Mexico, Montserrat, Norway, Portugal, Seychelles, and Taiwan. Taiwan, I can briefly say, Taiwan offers an entrepreneur visa and a gold card. The entrepreneur visa, despite its name, is not really worth it if you're a digital nomad. The entrepreneur visa is actually there. And what they do is that you can get it for like, I think 6 months or a year. But in order to get it renewed, you actually have to you'd have to set up a business in Taiwan, hire, I think, at least 4 locals, and you need to fulfill all these criteria. Basically, build up your own business, like a decently sized business in Taiwan, hiring locals if you want to get it renewed. But they also have something called a gold card, which is better, and you can definitely look that up. And so that's basically it, these main countries. And I'll link to this article that I got it from below. And, these can change and get updated. And so that's why I say to check it out and see what the updates are. But just know that this is available. It is attainable. It sometimes requires quite a bit of money, like the Cayman Islands, but very often it doesn't at all. And all it requires is you obviously need to pay your own way. You need to get there. You need to be able to pay for food, rent and stuff like that. But if you can figure out a way to do that, then yeah, what's stopping you? You can go for 6 months to a year and live in a certain place. And the reason a lot of people are doing this is, again, because of COVID. They've had to make the rules stricter, but they also still want to attract people. So they say if, because of COVID, people don't want to travel much. They say, okay, you can travel once and then you can kind of live here for a while and work here and, live like a local and experience life like a local would, which to me is awesome. I wish they had some of these when I was younger and trying to make it on my own, because it was a bit more, more difficult in some ways and it was easier in other ways. I shouldn't say. It was different. Yeah, I just wanted to bring this up, the digital nomad visa. And I can get into it more in detail if you want. Like I said, I have a course coming out where I go a lot more into detail, but I just wanted to bring it up broadly speaking, talk about the countries that offer it, and kind of talk about what I recommend. Again, I'm not a lawyer or a government official or anything, but saying, to check out the government websites and to check out expats who live there currently and see what they say and the advice they give, because they usually know quite a bit and what to do. So yeah, but that's pretty much it. Hopefully you found this interesting, you find it useful. If you are planning on living abroad and being a digital nomad, then my main piece of advice is to do it. To just do it, because otherwise you're going to be waiting for the perfect time and planning forever and ever and ever. My piece of advice is to set a deadline. Say, okay, 3 months from now, I'm going to be doing it. Book your tickets even. Yeah, book your tickets, and then you figure out the rest as you go along. But if it's something you want to do, you're going to have to do it. And the timing will never be exactly perfect. And so, just do it. Give yourself an ultimatum and do it. And anyway, I just wanted to cover broadly speaking. If you do want me to discuss it more, feel free to let me know and I'll be happy to do so, because it's a topic that's near and dear to me. And so I do like discussing it. And that's pretty much it for now. And I'll talk to you next time. Okay, thanks. Bye. Savedum.